Good evening, YouTube. Give me a second here as I go ahead and set up and figure this all out. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. I had to come back here and redo a video that I did this morning, and I'm going to talk about why. First and foremost, so I actually already know what I want to call this video, and let's see if I can edit it. Yes, I can. Hold on. This video is to be called, I'm not even on the right page of my notebook with my notes. Give me a second here. Give me a second here. I'm one of these people, I will use a notebook on the two opposing ends. I will start working from the front. I'll start working from the back. I use notebooks and I start writing from the back. It's just like a thing that I do. So this video is going to be about the 7 phases of gang stalking. And that is according to what I have gone through. So I think that this is a fairly good indication of, I guess I would say, what most people are going to be going through. So give me a bit here. Give me a bit, give me a bit, give me a bit, give me a bit, give me a bit. So when I did this live this morning and I thought, oh my God, let me get it out of the way so I can get through with my day. I just got through a spiritual attack while I was getting myself ready for the day. So that is while I was getting my meditation and all that in. Here comes the nonsense. And this is the thing. This is the life that you have to live in these sort of circumstances. This is what you gotta go through. To make it out of gang stalking, I feel like you have to earn it out of gang stalking. You don't just make it out of gang stalking, you earn your way out of gang stalking. At least that is the way that I feel. I feel like once I learn something, I pass some sort of threshold, and then it's like I'm free to go to the next level. So I shuffled these cards. This is not really an oracle card. It's just like really nice quotes. I don't know why I liked it. It probably was just cheap. But this quote says, strength of character and moral integrity. That is the theme of this quote. And it says, character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experiences of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, vision cleared, ambition inspired, and success achieved. And this is a quote by Helen Keller. It is very peculiar that the word suffering is here, because while I was going through gang stalking, I kept thinking to myself, like, I'm here to suffer. This is insane. So this is an experience of suffering. This is something that I feel like, listen, it takes a special individual to get through this. It really does. You have to be able to not allow yourself to be, I don't want to say easily triggered. I want to say triggered at all. You have to be able to not just endure things that are happening to you, but learn lessons out of things that are happening. You have to be able to see the worst sides of people and still continue to toil in favor of these very same people who would easily see you dead. Like, that's how bad it is. You are suffering for the benefit of people who are not good people. And it took me a while to try to figure out, like, why is God so insistent on making people learn lessons instead of just saying, you do not qualify to be here, you should instantly not be here. I think that's the part that a lot of good people struggle with. We struggle with thinking about, why are we letting this person live amongst the rest of us when this is a cancer? And you know, I've stayed in this gang stalking thing so long that I've realized that it's definitely it's entities at work. It's lower entities at work. It's entities that come and they take advantage of people's lower natures. They take advantages of people's weaknesses. They get a very stronghold and they refuse to let go. And they're torturing people, these same people, because let me tell you, no matter what that feeling is, whether it's jealousy, whether it's hatred, whether it's anger, it is not fun to feel. And so they provoke people, they torture people, people live in a way where they're not happy, and people have to cover it up. And so, like, there's just so much going on. But this gang stalking thing is not for the weak at all, at all. And, you know, I am at a phase of it where I am dealing with patience. I am dealing with trying to put my best foot forward every day, regardless of the things that I have to go through. I have to go through more things than the average person by far. I have to face so much spell work, sabotage, and everything else that someone looking from the outside could easily be like, this person is bad luck. This person is, something's going on with them. In any situation, somebody is always trying me, trying my patience, exhausting themselves to make me give up, to trigger me, to piss me off. And it is daily. It is round the clock. And it's just myself, and myself versus where it was a whole city. Now it's more than a city. It's people all over that in different countries who some maybe don't even speak English that are constantly harassing and attacking me. And God is teaching me every phase something new that I have to learn that requires a great amount of self-control and discipline. And it's like everybody else, you got to learn the lesson and then you can move forward. If you don't learn that lesson, unfortunately, you do not have the lessons needed to move forward. And what I mean by that, last night I was pissed. I think I had to restart a live. I don't know. I was very annoyed. This morning I woke up again. Someone was doing work on me while I was meditating. And I feel like that's so crazy that someone would have the audacity to try to get between my relationship with God. So you do face a little bit of asking God, like, why don't you zap this person? But it's like, I gotta learn that I have to meditate in every condition, in every weather. I have to stay focused no matter what's happening around me, that people are gonna trigger me, that they are gonna try me. And I have to be what we call here on this planet, the bigger person. I don't like that role, but it just comes with the territory. And so tonight's live is really talking about the phases that you're gonna have to go through this gang stalking journey, describing it as each phase as much as I possibly can to help you get through it. It is going to be one of the most grueling most tough things you're ever going to have to go through. When you step back and you look at it, gang stalking is really training you for the life that you're going to live. Gang stalking is not just here to persecute you, it is boot camp. It is tough. If you can make it, I'm sure there's a life there that's going to be abundant, amazing, the envy of everyone, but it's really gonna come with being able to handle everything that you had to handle in gang stalking and maybe amplified. Usually I find in life when you're learning a lesson, whatever lesson you're learning is probably not as bad as the reality that you're going to have to live. So if I'm facing a lot of behaviors that want to stop me from working, that want to sabotage me, that want to trigger me, that want to make me look bad, I can only think that the life that I'm going to live is going to be riddled with that kind of behavior. And that's the phase of life that I'm going into. I'm not 100% yet. There's some things that I have done amazing at, some things that I've done better at quicker. But this is just definitely one of those things with the patience, with all of that. And I'm not talking about patience and like patience to wait. I'm talking about dealing with childish behavior. Not fun when you are a mature person who takes yourself seriously. Difficult to understand, irritating by design, irritating on purpose. And for someone who wants privacy, who likes to be private, it's like God has gotten me used to having no privacy whatsoever. None. None. This is the world that some of us have to live in. And if you're going through gang stalking, this is also going to be your tribulation. So what you would deem as suffering right now is going to be your everyday reality moving forward. I am so sorry that I have to deliver this news to you. My blood is boiling thinking about it my damn self. So everything about gang stalking is just mind over matter and mastering yourself. And I know that what is making my blood boil right now with irritation and annoyance is gonna just be a regular thing, tomorrow. But I also know that in order to move forward, get my new beginning, get what I want out of life, I have to really master this phase. And there's nothing that I can do about it. It is what it is. This is the world that I have entered, and there is no going back. I have caught the attention of lower entities who have lower entities riding them. And it is what it is. I just have to move forward. So let's get to it. 7 phases. First of all, I've talked about willpower. Your willpower is a superpower. Your willpower is the ability to tell your brain that whether or not you like something, whether or not something seems to be working, whether or not you're being attacked, that you are going to continue to move forward, that you're going to go in places where other people do not want to go, that you're going to tolerate abuse because you have to, because you want to, and because you say so. Now, that looks different for different people. There are people where simply being celibate for, say, more than a week, more than a month, not having sex is torture for them. And there are people like myself, it's like 3 years, right? So it's like different people have different, like, just tolerance, just different tolerance levels for different things. There are people who probably couldn't handle what I go through in a day just for one day. That would be a very shocking day for them, to their spirit. This is every day for me, and it has been for 2 years plus. It really just depends. So when you're going through gang stalking, you have to understand that you are training your, I wanted to say training a muscle, you're training every muscle, every single one. Every single button you have will be discovered and pushed. They are going to try you, and they're going to keep trying you, and they're going to keep tapping on the button whether or not things actually work or not. So you have to get to the point that things don't work. If you cannot change the circumstance, if you cannot block the behavior, if you cannot do any of that, you simply have to just not have any reaction. And you go from not having a reaction to it to you not feeling anything. And that's the sweet spot. When it's just like, you know, it is what it is and you don't feel anything, you're not a ticking time bomb. It doesn't matter. It just is part of what it is. I can give an example. When I just came to terms with the fact that I had a stalker, I would just bring it up casually in conversation and kind of not realize that I was saying that I had a stalker to people. And some people would be like, what the hell did you just say? And other people who are usually gang stalkers, who know you're being stalked, who are paid to interact with you, it's like they don't even catch it in conversation because they're crooks. But when I think back to it, I'm just like, damn, I really just came to terms with the fact that I have a stalker. And that's just really what it boils down to. You are acclimatizing yourself to very scary situations that would really bother and burden other people, and you're walking through it casually. You know you've gotten to where you're supposed to be, where you're just like, oh, okay, oh, we're being followed right now. Oh, they probably have a gun in that car. Oh, they're probably killers. Okay, all right, well, what do you want to have for lunch today? That is the point that you have to get it to. There are people, you're not the first or only person. There are people who live like that. I'm sure political figures, presidents, dignitaries, they go through that all the time. So the Secret Service is probably like, there are people who want to assassinate you at this rally, so we have to da 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 da. And that comes with the territory. There are people who have absolutely no privacy whatsoever. If you're famous, if you're popular, you will be followed, you will be hacked. You have to live your life in such a way that you make sure that things do not work against you, because these are the circumstances. A lot of celebrities and people are not even prepared for that life. So if you're being gang stalked today, and let's say you are supposed to be a celebrity, you're going to be gang stalked for the rest of your life. You're going to have people hound you like lunatics and never give up. And you're not going to come and talk about it in your ad campaigns. You're going to be talking like this and see one of the stalkers over there that has been following you for the last 5, 7, 10 years. And you're just going to have to live with it. That's how I look at it. But now it's like I'm really seeing that, like, that may just be a reality. Like, this is the way that I have to live moving forward. I have to say that most of it, I kind of like, I don't care about. So this is why sometimes I come on here and I speak in such a way where other people are looking at me and they're like, I must be very strong, or I must be that, like, I don't know what people are thinking, but this is because I've gone through it so long and I refuse to give up my life. I am not giving up my life. I will rework my life and live my life and enjoy it and be happy here. Because I only have one life and I am very young. I think I'm giving that up to be enslaved? Absolutely never. So I'm exhausting to people, and I'm going to make sure that people are not exhausting to me. And that's where we are. Let's talk about the first phase of gang stalking, when you just found out that you're being gang stalked. It is horrendous. They are going out of their way to make sure that you know that you're being gang stalked. Just give me 5 seconds, please. Yes, so the first phase. This is a phase I call the self-care phase. I categorize all these phases by what you're expected to do or what the theme of the phase is. I talk about when I was gang stalked, I had just moved into my new home and everything kind of froze in place. Wherever bags were, wherever things that weren't open, wherever it was, it stayed there. Pictures didn't get hung up, different things didn't happen, curtains didn't get put up because I just wasn't myself. Now, I'm a woman, I'm a homebody, am a person who takes care of my environment. So one of the first things I always want to do is I always want to make a beautiful home, and that was not happening. Not until I took the action of saying, this is not stopping, but I cannot live like this, did I started moving my feet that felt very heavy. My feet felt like boulders, like they were made of lead. And I said, I'm gonna do laundry for the first time in a long time. I'm gonna open these bags, I'm gonna fold it and put it away. And my energy levels were very low. I was very exhausted. I felt drained. But until I started doing stuff like that, I didn't get through. And so I started putting away laundry. I started folding things. I started making my bed in the morning. I started doing my hair. I started looking great. And then more than that, I started going to the gym because I had gained quite a bit of weight that I knew was unnatural for me to have. It's happening to me right now. It's spell work. It's happening to me right now again. I don't eat remotely enough to be gaining weight. I just don't eat enough. I eat like an average of 1 meal a day. And especially when I was working in malls, I definitely was not eating enough. But I started going to the gym and I was waking up at like really early to get to the gym early before my work day. And then coming home and making a smoothie and making a healthy breakfast. And I reclaimed my life back. And I would go ahead and suggest that that is one of the first things that you have to do. You have to get back to life. Otherwise, they're going to knock you down really quick. You got to keep moving. You got to keep pushing yourself. This is easier if you have a life partner and you guys can motivate each other. But when you're living alone, when you're by yourself, it's between you and God, and you got to push yourself. In the self-care phase, there's all kinds of things. You got to get a spiritual hygiene. You got to take care of your spiritual health. You got to pray, meditate, clean your environment, clean your crystals, etc., etc. Make sure your house is clean because the Holy Spirit does not want to live in filth. You got to pick the garbage up off the floor. You can tell a person's mental state by how the house looks. People who are very happy have very clean, beautiful homes. So this is something that you need to take into consideration. You want to work out, you want to, do your hair, cut your hair, do your nails, do your makeup. You don't have to do, well, I'm not a huge makeup person, which is coincidental because I'm wearing it right now. I'm wearing it for a reason, but I'm usually like a natural faced person, but it's like, if you are a makeup person, just get back to who you were. Please do. You need it. The second phase is your lack of fear phase. My phone's dying, so I'm gonna have to put this on a charger. This is your lack of fear phase, and this is a very, very, very important phase. More important than people might want to take into consideration. It is extremely important that you get to the point that you're not scared of these people, that you get to the point that you look at this thing for what it is and not make it into more than what it is. It is horrible, yes. It is terrifying, yes, until you realize that you're dealing with petty actions that people are looking to have a dire consequence on you. Usually, they don't need to go as far as they did with me, but this is a particular client that was ruthless, and so they had no choice. They had no choice but to really start getting involved in my life in very deadly, illegal ways, forging documents, doing all kinds of things. And I think for a lot of people being gang stalked, it really is that bad, unfortunately. So it's a little bit different for everyone. However, it doesn't matter how good or bad it is. You gotta let it go. It is what it is. Hold on. Give me a second here. I always say that danger is very real and fear is just, it's optional. It really is. I am dealing with being gang stalked by the cartel. I don't know, I think they still think that there's some hope that I might accept an agreement to be a drug mule. I think they do. I don't know why. I don't know why they still think that. I think everybody has lost hope enough, but there still is a part of them that I think is always going to have a fantasy about that. Give me 1 second. I think there's a part of them that's always going to fantasize about me being a drug mule somehow, even though the likelihood of that is like 0 to none, you know, but that's how people are. And that just, you know, that is what it is. However, did they kill me? No. Did anybody chop off an arm? No. Do they want me to think that they would? Yes. But they don't. And if they are going to do it, they're going to do it. If they're going to do it, nothing is going to stop them from doing it. Not me being afraid. Not me living my life in such a way where I'm running around and sneaking around and covering my head and trying to hide. Nothing's going to change that. They're going to do what they're going to do. And I'm going to live my life irregardless. These are fear tactics, and I've recognized it for a while. It's been 2 years. So they're really trying to rattle you. They use spell work a lot of the time to achieve their objectives. And their major objectives not only is fear tactics, but it's also to make people think that it's not actually happening. So the only people that have truly believed me that I'm being gang stalked are, well, first of all, I think a lot of people know about it in the city, and people in that lifestyle, they know about it. But I think only when people get gang stalked themselves are they like, holy crap, this girl's been going through this for a long time. And it is what it is. What are we gonna do about it, right? Like, it's regrettable that you warn people and they don't listen, but we all have to learn our lessons in life. And I think at this point that gang stalking is not necessarily punishment, but like I'm talking about, it definitely is a phase of life that you have to go through, that you have to experience for a specific purpose. And God knows what those purposes are, and you are going to figure it out yourself as time goes by. So I don't think you're ever gang stalked for no reason at all. I think there's something to it, and I think of it a little bit as a rite of passage. You need to pass through this phase and then you get to the sweet spot. That's how I feel about it. I cannot stress enough to let go of fear. When danger is real, you cannot even quantify is the danger small, medium, or large because you're frightened by your own shadow. You have to be able to sit back and say, oh, that's just someone sitting on my phone scrolling. Okay. And not, oh my God, someone's on my phone scrolling, I can't go outside. That is an over exaggeration. You gotta calm it down. And it has taken so long for me to get here to see it for what it is. It's taken a long time. I had to go through all these phases that lengthen the time of me being in here. So that is why I make these videos. After you're done getting to your self-care, getting your nervous system under control and your breath under control, you cannot get everything under control until you get your fear under control. How long that takes is up to you. How does this work? With me, I tell myself every day until I believe it. And I behave in such a way. And I continue on like that. My cat is puking right now. So I thought it was one of the kids. If you have children, they never really grow up. If they're siblings, they're gonna act like toddlers for forever. So it's like, please forgive. I have 2 cats and 2 kids. So technically I have 4 kids. I have 4 toddlers. So, you know, let's just get that out of the way. The third phase is your phase of fighting back. It's your fight back phase. You cannot begin to effectively fight back if you're still scared of retaliation. I was walking slowly into police stations, seeing gang stalkers, waving at them, and walking in there and making my reports. I was doing what I was supposed to do. I was hacked, and I was still sending off emails with the chief gang stalker's pictures in that. What is he? You know, you get to find out that someone's a coward. This is what gang stalking is like. Someone is behind a curtain and they're casting shadows and they're this small, but the shadows that they're casting are massive on the wall. And so they're doing that in the background and they're making you think, looking at the wall, the shadow looks like a monster. It looks giant. But really, it's Pinocchio back there. It's something very small and something you do not need to be afraid of. I met this bully in person, and this is just a liar. It's just an evil person. It's an insecure, evil person. It's a very insecure person, and the insecurity has turned into crazy envy, and it's just not someone that I see myself being afraid of. I just don't see myself. These are people who have bad self-control issues. They lose their temper and they find themselves doing things that they continue to regret, things that don't make sense. These are not balanced people. And so I respect self-control because I know how dangerous it is when people have self-control. People who have self-control are people who are very strategic. These are people who can witness you do something that they don't like and wait 5 years to get you back. That's a dangerous person. Somebody who's going to lash out and who's going to do something very petty, you anticipate it, you brace for it, you prepare for it. It's also someone who's very childish. It's a tantrum. Unfortunately, when people like that are backed by a lot of people who have relinquished their right to think for themselves, because that's what gang stalkers are. That's what drug mules are. People who gave up on themselves. People who didn't fight, who didn't give themselves a chance, who didn't even try. They just got scared and they said, okay, I'll give up my life. I'll do what you say I'm going to do. They didn't even try. Some of them do try. Some of them, there are dire consequences. They try and they pass away. They try and, you know, I don't know the full story, but for me, I just knew that I was going to try and I was not going to allow anyone to have control or think for me. I was going to try. And trying for me wasn't 3 months and giving up. Trying was going until I was forcibly subdued. And I knew I was not going to let myself be subdued. So if you're dealing with people who do not have self-control and you have self-control, you can be poised. You can wait. You can take your time. You can say it costs what it costs. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to work very hard and fend off your attacks. And I would prefer to go through the hard work of grooming myself emotionally, of grooming myself spiritually, of learning new ways of living than to give up my life. Then you're going to be the type of person that's going to not only get through gang stalking, but that's a bit scary and a bit dangerous to people like that because they've never seen anything like that before. This phase is fighting back, and you can fight back in every way possible. Let me explain a way. See, I've always been this type of person. My hair is natural all the time. I do not fit in with a number of people because I do not wear fake hair. I don't like it. I don't even like seeing it in my environment. It sheds, it's all over the place. It's gross to me. It makes me feel itchy. Not to say that I'm not going to put my hair in braids every once in a while, that it's not cute. However, I also think this is beautiful and I like this. If I were to do something like that, it wouldn't be because I believe that I'm not enough or this face cannot carry itself. It would be maybe because I want to change, or more than likely because my daughter has convinced me because she just wants to play in my hair. That would be what it is. And so from a young age, I realized wearing my hair like this is an act of defiance, because everybody around you, especially the other Black women, want to convince you that this is very messy, that you should, could you just comb your hair? Could you just fix it? And so I would do this when I was younger as an act of defiance. And it's like they stopped asking me after a while, and they just realized that I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And if you ask me not to, I'm going to do it more. So it's almost like with my actions alone, I am really being disrespectful to you. I don't respect your opinion, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. That's what I mean. Fighting back does not always have to be a use of your energy. Fighting back can just be being yourself more. So if someone comes on here and they say you have a big nose, I'm gonna go like this. I feel like this. Because what is that gonna change? I've lived with this face for my whole life. It takes someone who is purposely trying to hurt you to say something like that. But I mean, when you really think about it, there's nothing wrong with it. It just is what it is. It's like someone being mad because you're Chinese, but it just is what it is. You're Chinese. Who said there was anything wrong with being Chinese? It's just life. So you really have to get to a point where everything somebody shoots at you, and you know, I'll have times where it's like there's a particular behavior that they don't want me to do. You know, according to the things that when you start getting the attacks, that's how you know you're doing good. So for example, when I'm making content, I get attacked on particular videos and I'm like, I did something good there. What did I do? Let me go study that video. And then I realized, oh, this was a really nice video. That's why they wanted me to stop. Now, logically, what am I going to do? I'm going to make the other videos look like that, even if that means I have to re-record them, because I just did something right. People are not going to send you spell work when you're messing up and you're making yourself look stupid. They're going to send you spell work because it's the worst, their worst nightmare. It's the thing that they don't want you to do. So you have to remember, when I'm getting spell work, this is the behavior that I need to continue. And you need to take on a gang stalking mentality. Gang stalkers are going to continue to do things to you until you get the point that they don't want you to do it. So you need to continue doing it until they get the point that you're not going to stop doing it. So if they don't want me to go live, I go live twice a day. If twice a day is an issue, then maybe I need to go live 4 times a day. And then 8, and then 10, until they realize, like, if I send her spell work, she's gonna do it more. So maybe don't send her spell work. I don't know. You'll notice my chat is very dead. There's no gang stalkers in here making comments anymore. And that is because they realize that I like the engagement. And now that I want them to come and do their thing, they're not gonna do it. This is how you play the gang stalking game. Everything must work to your advantage. If they come in here and they say horrible things and they fill up my chat, then I get more engagement. If they don't come in here and they don't have this behavior, then the people who really need to get the message can actually focus to get the messages. This is how everything works to your advantage. So you have to walk in life strategically with a glass half full mentality. If you look at a glass and there's half water in there, it's always half full to you. It's never half empty, it's half full. How do we continue filling it? Not, oh my God, we've lost half of our water. You guys will notice, it's not that I'm not broken up about my house and my car. It's not that I'm not broken up about it. I kind of am not, but it's an injustice and I want justice for it. But it's like not like I'm waking up every day thinking about it, crying about it. Like I'm not going to let it have an emotional effect on me. But the reason I'm not is because there is nothing in my mind that tells me that I cannot buy a house. another house again. And if God wanted, I would just go back and buy the same house again at a discount if God wanted that. That's the kind of God that I serve. And that's just the way you have to look at it. In your fight back phase, there are things that you're going to have to do that are going to take energy, like going to the police and making reports, like getting on live and talking about your experiences. Like, you know, I have a list of things. It's going to be another video that I could talk about on ways in which you can fight back, because you do not want to be fighting an enemy that is at peace and level-headed. You want to fight an enemy that is in anxiety, that is in fear, and that is losing money, respect, pride, self-confidence, peace of mind. These are the things you need to strip away. So you got to think about that in the way that you fight back, but you also get to fight back by being defiant, by not listening, by doing the things that they want you to not do and doing it in their face. So I don't hide to call whoever I want to call, to do whatever I want to do. I don't hide to do it. I do it in their face, because that is an act of defiance. Before, in the very beginning, every time I was happy or I smiled or something happened, I would get so much spell work. And so I didn't want to get the spell work. So I kind of like hold back. I wouldn't want to celebrate. But now I'm going to be happy publicly in people's faces. It is an act of defiance. And a lot of the things that I do are acts of war. It's almost provoking them, as if I'm saying, I want to fight again today. My happiness is an act of war. Still coming on here is an act of war. That is how you have to live your life while being gang stalked. We are not here waiting for gang stalking to be over. We are here to change ourselves so that we can walk around in a world full of gang stalking and be completely unaffected. That is the place that you want to be with your gang stalking. So phase 3 is your fighting back phase. Let me tell you, this is a phase where you are persecuted the most. This is where you learn the most lessons. Every phase has a lot of lessons, but you learn the most phases here. And this is also the phase where you learn all about how these people operate, how they attack you, what they want from you, what they're looking for you to do, all the tactics that they have, and you better learn all of them. Because if and when you get your new beginning, you're going to need to know what they're doing, how they're doing it, and you need an antidote for everything that they throw your way. So if they start throwing spell work, I do all my lives through spell work. I have spell work on me being thrown at me right now. I face spell work when I'm meditating, and that has been from day one, and it has not changed. I do not get a day where I meditate that is completely peaceful. I face spell work through prayer. Every single day, round the clock, there is spell work. I cannot do these videos if I don't know how to combat spell work or just deal with it. A lot of the spell work I feel, but it doesn't have an effect anymore because that's how immune I am to it. I've just gone through so much of it. You want to get yourself there. It sounds grueling, it sounds scary, but you just want to get yourself there. You want to get yourself to the point where, you know, you have an important function, and that's when you get the flat tire, and that's when this happens, and that's, but you know what? You still get to the function 15 minutes late, barely frazzled, with a coffee, and you continue on with your day. You do not want to get there upset, demotivated, pissed off, cursing, and it ruins your whole day. It ruins the speech you were going to give. It ruins whatever was going to happen. You don't want to be there. So it is something that you have to learn. It's something I'm still learning, but we're getting there. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. And I know that when God feels I'm ready, I'm going to move on to the next phase and the next phase and the next phase. And that's how you have to look at it. So this fighting phase where they are fighting you down tooth or nail, you got to learn to work through the drama. There is not a day that you get to quit. You don't get to quit and think, okay, well, this will be done in like 6 months and then I'll start. No. Because if you had a Fortune 500 company and another Fortune 500 company was fighting you, every second counts, and you need to be able to move forward through that nonsense. And as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that's what they do without us people knowing about it. I'm pretty sure they fight each other and they have these things that they go through, but they're probably just used to it and it comes with the terrain. Companies are trying to aggressively take over other companies. And it's like when we watch TV shows and it's like every day is a new drama. Every episode is a new drama. And that's probably really how people live, because that's how I live. Every day is some new nonsense. So now I am prepared for the distractions. I know how to handle them and they don't affect me, and I move forward and I get efficient about it. Learn everything that you can in your fight back phase, in your persecution phase. And I call it the death and rebirth phase, because God is going to allow everything that is not supposed to be in your life to be taken away. People, places, things, jobs, businesses, houses, cars, whatever it is, it's going to be taken away. And especially if it was given by this sort of entity that I'm fighting with, or maybe not given, but funded in some way, or their money was mixed in or involved in some way, then God's going to be like, we are not moving forward with that. No friends, no family, no this, no that. Everything has to go. You got to get, I was not prepared for it. Now that I am, I accept it. It is what it is. I'm traveling light, and that's okay. And that's kind of just like, you just have to be there with it. And, it is what it is. It's an energetic tussle. It's an energetic tug of war. It's like you have a good day and things work out for you, and they're learning you the way you learn them. And so they're like, oh, tomorrow we're not doing that. So last night we had a lot of people in the chat, and tonight it's not like that. So they've already figured they failed yesterday and they don't want today to be another fail, and they're learning. And see how fast they learn the very next time. So that's how you have to learn the very next time. The first time you go, no more chances for people. The very first time someone crosses you or something happens to you, you're walking away. You're leaving that situation alone. You're killing that situation, because it's proven to you it is detrimental to you to continue to go through the same thing over and over. And you don't get over and over with these people. They're going to terminate you very quickly, especially if you're lasting long. They just want that second chance to be like, oh my gosh, let's do it over again. So you got to be mindful of that. The fourth phase is whistleblowing. That was for me where I started telling my story. Now, I got to be honest with you guys about telling the story. There are people who come online and they talk about the fact that they were gang stalked, and they're making 4-minute videos, 1-minute videos. The video is not clear. It's not something someone can sit through. It's very disorganized. If you're going to come on and whistleblow, it's the same as making a police report. No guesswork. Make things convenient for people. When I do a police report, I have it all written out in chronological order. I tell my story. I keep it clean and to the point. That is what concise means. To the point. Taking out the extra stuff that doesn't need to be there. Yes, you want to be detailed, but you don't want to go rambling on about, well, and that's because my cat gave birth in the alley. And if it's not relevant, leave it alone. You want them to read something and start sharing this document across the department or other departments, and everybody gets on the same page quickly. Dates, places, chronological order means in order by time. We start the story in January and we don't go to July and then come back to February. We go January, February, March, April, and on and on and on. Don't jump around. When you're doing videos and you're telling your story, try to keep it simple. I got a lot of practice with telling my story, because I would tell my story to everybody in the city that who would listen. Whoever's seen my story online, a whole bunch more have heard it in person, because I would tell anybody who would listen. I knew it was pissing them off. It was another act of defiance to embarrass them. I forced them to have to gang stalk and recruit people that they probably weren't ready to spend the resources to do so. But they had to, because I talk too much. And so if you don't want me to tell the truth, then don't let it be the truth. That's how I felt about it. When you're whistleblowing, so for me, I told my story in 2 videos, an hour each, or maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours each. And I have it on my page in a playlist where people can find it very easily. So if you come here and you're hearing this information, you're like, who is this person? You just go on my channel, you find the video, you listen to the video, and you go home. Now, it's taken me a little while of having the page to organize it like that, because it really went from me just telling my story to now me really being serious about the page and helping people and making things organized and having charts that are easy to read and people can get information very quickly. So it's changed, but I feel like because I've come so far, you might as well do it right away when it's your time. When you've gone through and learned your lesson and you can help people, you have really valuable information. You can tell people how to get out of this. You can tell people that I did it and here's how I did it. Once you get to that point, you got to be consistent every single day. I do everything a minimum of 100 times. Truly, sometimes I aim to do things 500 times, 1,000 times. In my head, I really am counting. When I said that I had a 100-point list, I really had a 100-point list. I think I got to like 20 something, 30 something on that list till I didn't even have to continue going down, because I was a piece of work. I still am a piece of work. People beyond hate me. They hate me so much they respect me. They hate me so much they like me, and they hate that they like me. I refuse forever. But by the time I got to like 27 and 30, and I'd been making these people spend this kind of money and do all, like, they didn't want to see me crossing the street. People were quitting and all that. So I am the bully in the story. I just will not allow myself to be like my happiness to be taken or any of that stuff. So your whistleblowing phase, you cannot get there if you're still afraid, and you cannot get there if you didn't learn the lessons. You need your whistleblowing phase. It is important for your safety, because by the time you get to the whistleblowing phase, people are thinking of really getting rid of you because you are actually going to destroy their life. Gang stalking is so crazy that if people find out this is real, they will lose everything. So your whistleblowing phase is a phase that you want to get to. And I believe everybody has to have a whistleblowing phase. Everybody has to tell everybody how to get out of this, so they cannot roll it out worldwide, because we have the information on how not to suffer for it. I think the information should be free. It should be in the airport washrooms, just like the signs that say, don't leave your bags unattended. It should be in the schools. It should be in the church. It should be a pamphlet everywhere that gang stalking is real. Gang stalking is a threat to the average unsuspecting person, and gang stalking shouldn't exist. That's just my Martin Luther, I have a dream moment. And, we'll see how that goes. The fifth phase is rebuilding. It's your rebirth. It's your new beginning. It's not going to be handed to you. You're going to build it. You're going to need, if all of that stuff that you just went through was not hard enough, now you're going to need a lot of confidence in yourself. You're going to need a lot of patience. You're going to need a lot more willpower, a lot more discipline, because all this, the strength that it took to not quit during gang stalking, you're going to need just slightly more to not quit on yourself when things don't work. And why? In your rebuilding phase, the first part of your rebuilding phase is working through people trying to knock the new beginning out of your hand. They are going to fight tooth or nail, because listen, it's bad enough that they couldn't knock you down. Now you're going to have a new beginning. Through all that spell work, all that gang stalking, all of that, you're going to have a new beginning in their face. You're embarrassing people. You're making people look like they're not good at their job. This is a nightmare. You've already reported it to the police. You're already whistleblowing, and now you're rebuilding. This is not, you don't put 2,000 people on one person so that they can have a new beginning. This will make people believe in God. This will make people start praying to God, because what you're doing here defies logic. And that is exactly what you have to do. You also have to realize at that phase in the game that the gang stalkers who are stuck, they're now paying a little bit more attention to you. They want to know how to do what you do. People in your city that thought for sure you're going to be under in 3 to 6 months, 2 years later, they want to know what you know. They want to see what you see. They want to understand how you did it. So it is very important for you to have a new beginning, because that in and of itself is of a service to God, because that proves that God is real and God is very real in your life. The new beginning is for you. And I always talk about it. You're going to build back better. You're not going to make the mistakes that you made before, meaning that you're not partnering with anyone. You don't allow people to give you anything. You don't want people to teach you anything. You don't want people to do anything. Listen, I had a photographer and he said to me, of course your thing looks good because I did it. I had a girl who said, all because she said to me, oh, just update your Instagram. All of a sudden, she's like, hey, she emailed me out of the blue. Hey, based on my advice, I said, let me disabuse you of the notion that you've built my brand. You said you had mentoring and you didn't even want to respond to me after that. You did nothing for me. Anybody, any bozo out there could tell me to take new pictures, okay? I was already in the process of taking the pictures anyway. Thank you for your time. I want to go ahead and stop you in your tracks before you find yourself on the street saying some kind of nonsense like that. So people are going to want to take credit for this new beginning. You have to make sure that as you're doing it, no one's involved. You may even have to give up a profession, if you know, because there are people who are going to say, well, I built you. I did this. I did that. I did this for you. People are going to want to say that they made you. And my response to that is, well, make another me. I bet they couldn't. With my ideas and with looking at everything that I do and having me hacked, they still cannot find anyone like me. There is no other me. You cannot make me when you worship me already to begin with. You cannot make me. So if people feel like they can make you someone who's as strong as you, who works as hard as you, who is as relentless as you, who is as innovative as you, who's as prayerful as you, if they think they can make another you, then they wouldn't even have to tell you that. They would be churning you out in a factory. They would just have you coming out on a production line. They cannot make another you. That's why they're so desperate to take credit for you. That's exactly, and you know what? I'm a person, I have a lot of pride. I'll throw it away. Oh, really? You gave this to me? Here, take it back. Because I don't fight for anything. I do not fight for anything. I don't have to. So that's how I see it. And you know what? If it came down to it, if it was something, if they gave me this business, if they gave me the business that I had, I would throw it back and I would say, you know what? I can cook. I'll go open like some restaurants, some bakeries, some whatever, and then that would turn into some factories to produce my own stuff, and that would turn into something else and something else and something else and something else and something else. I have other passions. I can do other things, and I know that as long as I stick to anything that I'm doing, including being gang stalked, that I could do better. That is your mentality moving forward. You don't let anybody make you feel like you owe them for anything, because nobody did it out of the goodness of their heart. They did it out of manipulation and control. And it's very obvious. Somebody doesn't get to give you something and then tell you who to be friends with, who to like, who to not like, what to do, what to not do. It doesn't work that way. So, you know, everybody deals with what they deal with, but I've noticed that I have a lot of people from Miami, a lot of people that look like they were extra drug dealers, etc. They don't know why they're being gang stalked. It's because you want to stop selling drugs. That's why. It's because you want to stop selling drugs, and the drug trade needs you. If you're serious about it, just keep going. What else can you do with yourself? That's it. And there you have it. The 6th phase is stepping into your purpose. I am stepping into my purpose. I think me having these videos and making these lives, etc., I feel like that's a part of my purpose, because I've gone through it and I know how hard it is, and I know that how critical it is for other people to know how to get through this thing. So you're going to find what your purpose is. You know, God doesn't tell you things up front, but if God did, I'll be honest, even if God told you up front everything would be fine, you still wouldn't believe it. Maybe you'd believe in it, but it's not going to make a difference whether you know or you don't know. But you have a purpose. If you're going through all of this, you have a purpose. Even if the purpose is just for you to know how to get out of it and be motivation for other people, that is your focus and your purpose. And it is what it is. You continue walking through it. You do the best that you can, and you keep pushing through. And the last one is justice and rewards. I can't tell you how that's going to happen, but I can tell you I've been through one of these battles in my life before. You absolutely get justice. Don't think because these people are bigger than you, they have more money than you. That's not how the universe operates. You absolutely get rewarded for hardships. You face very difficult things in life, you get rewarded. Over and over and over again, I think everybody has examples in their life of when they did the right thing, when they did what they were supposed to do, the universe smiled on you. In fact, these rewards are built along the path already. It's not even like you're earning them. You just got to keep walking, moving one foot in front of the other every single day, and getting to the destination that involves the rewards. Some people, it might be, you know, maybe people who persecute you, they go to jail, maybe they pass away, maybe something happens, maybe, you know, who knows what it's going to be for you. But really what it boils down to is that God never just leaves people who have listened, who have been obedient, out on the street, out with nothing. Maybe it might seem like that for a season. Maybe you might be born into hardship, maybe you might go into hardship, but as you do the work that is required, you get what you're supposed to get. And let me tell you, gang stalking is just one where you can see people persecuting you, but we've all had hardships. Whether you were fighting cancer, you think if you might say, Harry, you might say, well, at least if I'm fighting cancer, I'm not afraid for my life, or people aren't following me or whatever. You don't want to be fighting cancer. Your body's healthy right now. You do not want to be in a place where you're sitting, going through chemo, wondering, am I going to make it out of this? No problem is better than another problem, but this is not as bad as you think. And I've come this far to say that it's really not. What it is, it's a psychological thing, and it's appearing very bad. Once the spell work's gone, once a lot of it's gone, you'll start realizing like, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, without the fear, without the anxiety, without feeling like I cannot make it without people, feeling like I can't make money without them, without all of that, I'm fine. And so once you get to that point, things start working out for you. And you start feeling light, like I do. You start feeling light in order to move forward, because you know that you're in a big country and they just can't go like knocking off every drug mule or every drug dealer or every person that they want to. And if they really wanted to do that, they wouldn't be hiding their hands. They wouldn't be doing things that only you're noticing. That's a cowardice way to fight someone in the first place. So it's really, really important to acknowledge that. It's not like they're standing in front of your door with like a gun like this, you know? And there's people that just live like that, again, where they have those things happen. And trust me, you think somebody's not gonna get up and go sell drugs tomorrow because somebody just came and raided them at gunpoint? You gotta really have that kind of mentality when you're dealing with this kind of nonsense. So that is it. That is the 7-step process, or the 7 phases of being gang stalked. So hopefully you can see it, identify what phase you're in, and kind of figure out what's coming next for you. And my process is 2 years and going. So, you know, I'm past my whistleblowing phase. A lot of my videos don't really have, I talk here and there about personal experiences, but I'm not really blowing the whistle at this point. I'm really just like explaining what's going on and how it's happening. 2 cards came out in my spirit messages card. So the first one, when there are questions you need assistance with, go within. Sit with yourself, meditate on the question, ask for our help also. Then Trust your intuition, as most often the answer and guidance will be delivered to you intuitively. We are always with you. The answers do not come like a voice in your head, like you think it's going to come when you're working with God. The answer just appears. It's like, oh, maybe I should try to do it that way. Oh, maybe if I just angle it that's how God's voice is in your head. That's how your ancestors, they speak to you. This is why it's very important to follow your first mind. That's how they speak. They speak through your intuition. You got to trust it. You got to follow it. But this is where meditation comes in really good. You got to quiet your mind. You will be shocked the thoughts that come up. And you got to let things come to you. The second one, it's time to hit the reset button, clear out the old so that room is available for the new to enter. If you keep holding on to old people, old anything, you're not gonna get what you want. You're delaying yourself unnecessarily, and when it gets to a certain point, it's gonna be snatched from you anyway, and that's gonna be more traumatic. Trust that better things are coming and fast. Prepare to move to the next phase of your life. This is your rebirth. Welcome to this beautiful brand new energy. You've got this. The theme of this video, even from this morning when I first recorded it, was for new beginnings. So this is what God is preparing us for, is for a new beginning. And this has been traumatic in a lot of ways, because it's like we're the house and God has put us through a demolition, and they've thrown sledgehammers through our walls. They ripped the cupboards out. There's crap all over the floor. And now they're coming and these trucks are emptying everything, and we feel stripped. And the codes are taking long for the city to approve. And this feels like a nightmare. But you just have to remember that nobody demolishes anything to put the same outdated cupboards, and you're crying over the ugly washroom with the pink toilet and the pink carpet and the pink walls and the pink sink, and not even a nice pink, like an ugly old lady pink, and you're crying over all this crap. But when this gets put back in, you're gonna have like the huge washroom with the huge glass walls, and it's gonna look like a spa in there. And now you get to go pick out new tiles and new paint colors and wallpapers and all of that good stuff. That is what's happening right now. Don't cry over a demolition. You didn't really like that life anyway. Like, you really did not like that life. Let it be taken from you and release with grace so that it doesn't need to be snatched away, because one way or the other, the crane is gonna knock it down. That is literally the way you have to look at gang stalking. It is knocking down your old life to build something brand new. They are not burning down your house. They are demolishing the inside of it, renovating it for you. This card came out this morning, Amethyst. So I'm gonna reread this card because I felt like it was relevant. Amethyst is a purple crystal. By the way, if any men watch my videos, please do not think that you don't want to wear or have a crystal because it's a girly color. It's really about what the crystal does. Because at first when I started getting crystals, I'm like, I don't want a black crystal. I don't want a brown crystal. But those are the strongest crystals for protection. So it has nothing to do with that. Amethyst is the crystal for restful sleep. This is an addiction breaker, and the vibration is high to extremely high. Amethyst boosts the endocrine system, which is the collection of glands that secrete hormones into the circulatory system and assist the transmission of neural signals through the brain. I think it just basically helps hormones flow around your body, is what I'll say. It also facilitates multi-dimensional cellular healing. When placed under your pillow, Amethyst protects against recurrent nightmares and is beneficial if you suffer from insomnia caused by an overactive mind. This crystal is helpful for understanding the deeper causes that lie behind addictions and offers support during withdrawal from substance abuse. Crystal workers use this stone to draw off physical or psychological pain and to calm anxiety. On the mind, it stills the mind, promotes mindfulness, and aids visualization. In the spirit, it supports deep understanding, promotes tranquility, which is peace, being tranquil, and assists dream recall and interpretation. A lot of the times, sometimes when you're going through spiritual battles, you do not remember your dreams, and you need your dreams because that is how your ancestors communicate with you, give you messages, and tell you stuff. Go ahead and get you an amethyst if you're having any sort of issue with sleeping, with nightmares, any of that. I feel like a lot of crystals do a lot more things than they say they do. So if I get a card, I usually go ahead and get the crystal, and that's how I ended up with all of this. However, if you've started using crystals or you are using crystals, then you can attest to the fact that crystals work. Crystals are amazing, and you can sense a difference with a lot of crystals on how they work and what they do. So this was my video. This is a lot more peaceful and tranquil from the one that I did this morning right after I got spiritually attacked, and it really pissed me off. So I'm glad I'm also learning my lessons on this life phase as well. Thank you guys for the people that have hung in with me, and have a blessed day.